I like it.
Aaron, did you
Ellie, are
get a
you
lot of, oops, I'm sorry, honey. What?
sorry, are you a cameras on person on your calls?
Yes.
Like, do you ask people? Okay, cool. I always ask people to turn their cameras on whenever I teach, always. So I just want to make sure it's not going to be weird for people.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes
Yeah.
they don't, but yeah.
No, true. I always ask though.
Aaron, I've got you still on your phone and your computer.
Yeah, I didn't hit the button. Hold on. Leaving me.
There we go.
Aaron wants to be here twice.
I know.
I'm glad I'm not the only one technology challenged
Oh, I
sometimes.
know. Right. I'm completely okay with giving up on that too.
Did you have a good response at the rally? Did you meet a lot of people?
It was unbelievable. And the cool thing about it was too is I had my president come. Well, he didn't really tell me he was coming. He just kind of showed up, which was cool. But yeah, there's just 0% chance that we won't be like the keynote sponsor next time. And
Good.
yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I met with a lot of people, and it's a little weird because you chat with people online, you're talking to them through LinkedIn and Facebook and all this stuff, and then you see them in person, like, I know you. It's like I've never met you before. Even people I work with, it's like we've been working together for 8 months, and it's like I've never actually shaken your hand. Thanks for coming down. So it was a good time. I loved it. You guys got a little stage time, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. It was fun. Well, the recognition, you get up there for icons, and I thought it was nice. They recognized, all levels, which was awesome. So
As they should, correct.
Linnea, did you guys have your rally down in your area or up in your area, I should say?
We did.
Okay.
It didn't look as fun as yours.
Yours
looked
funny.
Awesome. Also, you had a really good MC, it looked like too, because you had Jessa. Jessa is your MC. She's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because it's smaller, obviously than like EXPCon or the larger conventions, which I really like because you can actually, you have a little bit more FaceTime, agent to agent, but it just, when you look at pictures of it, doesn't feel very impressive, when you're like, oh, it doesn't look like that many people, but I actually prefer that smaller scale. So
it actually looked like a lot of people to me. I was like, man, theirs looked way better than mine.
I thought it was a pretty good turnout. So
yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Awesome. Well, it is 9 o'clock. I'm just going to give it one more minute, you guys, before we kick this off, just to get any last minute people jumping on here. So hang tight, and cameras on if you don't mind. I think most of you have your cameras. It's just easier for anybody to see your beautiful faces if you can. We appreciate that. Let me just make sure I have you. Linnea, I'm gonna make sure that I got you a co-host here. So you have any sharing capabilities, you should have that now. So
perfect. I see it.
Awesome. Good, you guys. Well, it's 9:01. So obviously, to be mindful of everyone's time, I want to get started on time. So thank you all for joining. Love to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. So good morning, Jody. Good morning, Julie. So lots of good faces, and remember that this is recorded. I know this is a time that seems to be very popular for a lot of other meetings and masterminds and whatnot. So I appreciate you guys tuning into this one. It is recorded. So if you are in your area or talking to other agents, and I've already gotten like 4 or 5 different texts this morning saying, I'm so sorry, I can't make this one. I'm really bummed. So these are always recorded and put on the Empire Masterminds Facebook page so that you can go back and rewatch it as well. So without further ado, good morning. Welcome to Empire Masterminds. This morning, we are incredibly blessed to have a great speaker and presenter this morning, Linnea Carver. She is a top producing realtor and team leader in Pierce County, Washington. She is actually in the top 1.5% of EXP agents in the entire state of Washington. So like a dynamo for sure. She's been featured on Top Agent and Bonnie Lake Neighbors magazines. And am I saying that right, Linnea? Bonnie? Bonnie.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bonnie Lake. Yeah.
Okay, so she is a Bonnie Lake area real estate specialist and a certified negotiations expert. She has over 15 years of experience in sales and marketing. She's actually developed a whole system called the Dream Method to simplify her home selling and buying process for very busy professionals. She uses disruptive marketing, digital marketing, and she is known for maximizing her sellers' profits. So this woman is got it all going on, and she actually built her business, and this is why she's here today, using organic social media. So, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just need to know how to do it right. And so she also teaches real estate agents how to do the same thing. She has a course. I don't want to steal your thunder, Linnea, but I'm going to put the link to that in our chat box. So if you guys are interested in looking at her course that she teaches in further detail, you can do that. But we're so lucky to have you. And without further ado, I would like you all to welcome Linnea Carver.
Thank you. Wow. I was like, whoa, that's me? Okay. It's always a very humbling experience when people introduce me. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Linnea Carver. I'm actually based in Bonnie Lake, Washington, which is, if you know, Seattle area. We're actually in Pierce County. So my nearest big city is actually Tacoma, Washington. So I'm about 45 minutes south east of Seattle. So just so you guys know, Milu is here. Milu is my marketing specialist. Like, she's all things marketing. So she's here to kind of back me up. So if she might answer questions in the chat if you have them, but just so you know, because I try not to get distracted, but it never happens. So anyway, okay. So to kind of start, I would like to know, I'd like to get a gauge of the audience. You just got to know your audience. How many of you use social media in one way, shape, or form? Okay, so there's really no strangers to social media. That's great. How many of you consistently get business from social media? Okay. And how many of you get, I would say, 10 to 15 deals from social media a year? Cool. Cool. Okay, Julia might not learn anything today. Cool. Like, cool. I love it.
No,
Julia,
it's I do,
Julia
but
might
some of
teach
them
me
are
something.
referrals too, but they always come back to me on social media.
I love it. I love it. Julia might teach me something today. I love it. Cool. Well, awesome. Julia, you probably, actually, Julia, I know you too, probably from KMC, right?
You do, yes.
Cool. Yes. Okay, cool. I'm like, I know names. Okay, so to give you a little history, I grew up in the real estate industry. My mom has been a top realtor for years. Actually, when I grew up, she was in lending. So she did, underwriter, loan originator, all kinds of the loan roles. And when I was in my mid-20s, I actually decided I wanted to get into lending. That happened to be in the year 2005. And we all know what happened around 2005 to 2008 in the lending industry. And as a kid in her 20s who had no financial stability at all, it was a really bad time. So I actually chose to get out of the lending industry. And yes, Aaron just called, someone has some background noise going on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron.
Can you guys mute yourself? I'm sorry if you're not muted, please mute yourself. So thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. I was trying to avoid it, but then I was like, no, I can't. Okay, so I'm out of the lending industry, and I actually decided to go get a real job. And I worked my way in corporate America, and I was in corporate America for the next 12 years. In that time, I learned everything from sales and marketing, business process, operations, planning. I mean, pretty much you name it. I got a really, really strong business acumen. My final job in corporate America is I was actually an item planner for tiny pieces for earrings. Basically, I was an item planner for earrings. So I had to learn a lot about planning, systems, and processes, right? So take that into real estate. I went 6 months in the real estate industry. I was part-time for my first year and a half. For the first 6 months of that time, I had 0 deals. But I really, really, really wanted to make real estate a thing because I had seen so many people be successful. I knew that it was where I wanted to be. I didn't quite know why yet. I mean, my why at the time was I just wanted to make more money because I was broke and I wanted to make more money. But I didn't have any business. So for the first 6 months, I was like literally just using social media. And at the time, it was Facebook. That's all I did was Facebook. Now we're really fortunate to be in this era where we have so many different channels to choose from, which can be a benefit or a not whatever the antithesis of benefit is, the opposite of benefit. It can be one or the other, right? But we had one major thing at the time, and that's not that long ago. I mean, that was 2018, so not that long ago. And it was Facebook was the big thing, and all I knew how to do on Facebook was talk to people. That's all I knew how to do. All I really knew how to do was scroll Facebook. And I was listening to all these coaches. I think I'd signed up for Brian Buffini coaching, and they were like, get off social media, get out, get referrals, do pop buys, do all these things. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I didn't love that as much. What I loved was to scroll social media. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I loved scrolling social media. And I knew that there was something that I could do to figure it out. I got into various different things. But my first big break in real estate, my first big deal came when I got added to the social media, the Facebook lottery. And you know what I'm talking about. It's when someone goes and posts in a group and they're like, hey, who knows a realtor, right? And your name gets tagged. Okay, I was a Facebook lottery and I was the winner of that Facebook lottery. And that was my first big break on social media. That's when I learned that what actually got me that was that of all the agents, and this is very, very, very infancy stages of social media, of all the agents that got tagged, I was the only one that sent a Facebook message with a video and a link to my Zillow reviews. Because I had gone out and I said, you know, if I'm going to get anything, I got to get reviews. So I would have everybody that I talked to about real estate just write me reviews. I was like, hey, I know that you're not going to buy, but would you mind writing a review on Zillow about your experience talking to me about real estate? And they're like, absolutely. So I just had people help me build my Zillow profile that way. And that was my first big break on social media. The second big break came when someone sent me a message and said, hey, we want to sell our $1.2 million house and we want you to list it. Right? And I was like, oh, okay, so there's something here. So I dug in, went and, you know, did a lot of different coaching, like a lot of different things to learn. But over time, I developed my own method, and it now helps me get business all the time. I mean, I would say this last month, we got about 40 leads that came in from Instagram, and that's without spending any money. And yes, I have spent money on ads. And yes, I do buy leads because I have a team and I have to feed them. So I want to make that very clear. But 70% of my business is from organic methods. And most of it right now is from Instagram. So what I'm going to show you today is kind of how our Instagram funnel works. I'll give you a kind of like preview of like how you can repurpose your content. I'm not going to go super deep into that, but I'm going to show you how we put content out, the funnels in which I believe content should be, how often you should post, and then where to go from there. Because really, the whole thing is it's not that hard to convert on social media. You have to get to that point where you are understanding that you are prospecting, right? You have to get out of the, I'm going to pick up the phone and prospect and cold call. And now I'm going to go to my phone and I'm going to prospect for business on Instagram. I'm going to prospect for business on social media. I'm going to have conversations online. And so if you can kind of get yourself into the mindset of I am prospecting, it is okay to be on social media as long as I'm being on social media productively, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of reasons I like organic business. Let me go back to this slide here. Neela, you took that slide away. I needed that slide that had all my notes on it.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. It was,
That's okay.
It was
It's
just
okay.
like me.
I was
It's
like,
okay.
oh,
Sorry
there's my
about
slide. Thank you.
that. There is again.
Right.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons that I love social media. Okay, so or organic social media. A, it costs a lot less money. How many of you have been a broke agent? Like, I have been almost a bankrupt agent. Like, and it's not even funny because it's a real thing. It's like most of our industry is broke. All we're trying to do is put more money back into our business all the time because we're told you got to spend money to make money. Okay, so we're going to believe that we're going to put all this money in our business and it's just going to pay us back tenfold. And it will if you have a plan, but most people don't have a plan. Most people don't track their numbers. Most people don't track their results. They don't know where they're spending their money. And so that's why I like social media, because you're not spending any money. You're not spending any money. The other reason I like it is because it's more fun. I like to have fun with what I do. I was just saying to a group of my mastermind group this morning that my working working hours right now are, I work about 3 hours a day. I work about 3 hours a day. When I'm talking about work, I talk about the real estate grind, pulling comps, preparing for listing appointments. Like that's grind, that's work, not something I particularly enjoy, right? And I do that maybe 3 hours a day, maybe. You are, when you're on social and you're organic, you are more authentic. You start attracting people to you that you actually want to work with. So instead of having like listing appointments, you're starting to have conversations with sellers about selling their home. You're no longer doing that I've got to fight for a listing thing, which I love that. You're not having to fight for a buyer. You're not having to prove to someone why you're worth their money. Now you're presenting yourself and they're coming to you because they already know what you're worth the money. So that commission conversation goes away. So there's a lot more reasons why, other than spending less money, you actually make more money when you're using organic social the right way. You stop chasing leads. I don't know about you, but I'm not good at, that's not my strength. There's a lot of people out there who their strength is cold call, FISBO, expired. That's not me. I was actually at my EXP rally the other day, and someone said that his strategy is his team has to do 16 open houses a month. 16 open houses a month. And I was like, ugh. Like I almost like, it felt like a knife to my heart. So I was like, oh my God. So I came back to my team. I was like, you guys should be happy. I only suggest 4 a month if you do it the right way. And they're like, okay. I'm like, okay, can you do 4 a month? They're like, yeah. I was like, it could be 16. They're like, cool. But anyway, you stop chasing leads. And it starts, real estate starts to become fun again. I mean, this is a really fun industry. We get to help people change their lives. And so when you're focusing on your social channels and you're focusing on not only your sphere on social, but you're focusing on growing your social audience simultaneously, you're adding to your database on a regular basis. The really cool thing about social media is like, if you have even 100 followers on Instagram, 100, most people have 100 at least, and you convert 1% of those, you convert 10%, your conversion rate on social is much higher, by the way. But if you convert 10% of those, that's 10 deals a year on 100 followers. That ROI is pretty high. Even if you convert 1, you're not spending any money. That's a really good ROI. Even if you convert 1%, which is 1 deal a year. I was actually doing the math wrong. Sorry, I'm not a math person. That's why I have a calculator. So with less than 2,000 followers this year, I've closed 14 million in sales from Instagram with less than 2,000 followers. So it's entirely possible. So I'm not here to tell you that, I mean, I can show you how to grow because I know how to grow. I grow a little bit slower than those people who are going 400,000 a month, like those big influencers. I'm not a social media influencer. I'm a social media marketer. They're two very different things. And I had to get that. That's kind of a mindset shift that I had to get in my head when I first started going after this. I was like, I want to get 200,000 followers. I want to get 40,000 followers. And I'm like, oh, I'm good with my 1,840 or whatever we have right now and closing 14 million a year. That's a pretty good ROI if you ask me. So look at your social media followers. If you even have 100, right? Not only is that, do you have a 1% chance of converting within there, you can convert at least 1% in there, but all of those people, if you're putting out content that they like and content that they're attracted to, they have 100 followers. So it essentially doubles your reach, right? And then those people have 100 followers, which triples your reach. So you got to kind of think about the exponential power of social media. And then if you're on Facebook and Instagram, they're two different audiences. Sometimes they're the same, but they're going to see things a little bit different because the algorithms are just a little slightly different on the platforms. I'm not here to talk about TikTok. I don't like TikTok. I'm going to tell you my strategy is all around Instagram. And the one reason I like Instagram more than any other platform out there is the sense of community that you can build from Instagram. I also believe that Instagram is the most aesthetically pleasing platform out there. I have ADD. And if I sit there and watch TikTok all day long, it's like, it's gonna go crazy. But Instagram allows me to like watch a video, watch a short form video, look at some pictures, read some caption, and gives me kind of all, it appeals to all of my visual senses. Okay, so enough about that. Let's talk about the strategy. Yeah, want to see that? Okay. And if you've been on any of my presentations before, you know that I love questions. So I promote and encourage you coming off mute if you have a question, or putting it in the chat if you have a question. So it's a lot easier to do a interactive conversation, I have found, than just teaching all day. Okay, so here we go. So y'all can see my screen, right? Okay. So here's how our content strategy works in our business. We focus all of our content on one platform. And I think this is a big game changer for a lot of people, because the question is always that I get is, well, where should I be? Where should I start? And my answer is start where you're happy. I just told you why I'm happy on Instagram. So there's that. You all know that reason. You know that now. But this is where we focus all of our content around. So every piece of content that we're putting out there, we're creating with the intent of it to go on Instagram. Now, I want to caution you, if you're focusing on a platform, you don't want to create content for the platform, right? You're creating content for your audience, and it just happens to be on the platform. Does that make sense? Like I'm not creating content for Instagram. I'm creating content for my audience on Instagram. And what happens is we analyze that content on a weekly basis, and we put it through our little funnel. And this is essentially what our funnel looks like down below. Now, I'm not going to go into this whole big thing here. This is what, if you want to come to my social media course, I will tell you how this works a little bit more. But I'll tell you, like, this is what happens. We analyze our content on a weekly basis. We track our KPIs. We track what we know exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for the same thing all the time: engagement, comments, shares, saves. We're looking for all those things. We're looking to see what the reach versus followers versus non-followers is. So we're looking for all those things, and we analyze that, and we say, okay, so this content worked, and this is how we want to funnel it down to the other channels, because we believe in an omnipresent strategy. I'm literally everywhere. I'm literally on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook personal, Google Business, YouTube, LinkedIn. We have an e-newsletter. We have a blog post. We have email drip campaigns. We farm, right? We have an ISA who actually calls. I don't do it. She actually calls, and she sets appointments for my agent. But the reality is that all of that only works because we have a very consistent, clean message going out to everybody. So I want to focus the next few pieces on telling you how the content funnel works. Now, if you're on Facebook, this content funnel is going to be the same. It's going to be the same. It's not gonna change. How you do it is going to change a little. The how might change, but the why is not going to change, because Facebook and Instagram are the same platform as far as that's concerned. Now, when I say funnel, you all understand a sales funnel, right? You understand the top of the funnel. These people up here, they're kind of far out. They're way out here. And you understand the bottom of the funnel, right? And the bottom of the funnel is where you're grabbing that in right now business, right? There's your probably 2 years out, and you kind of go down from there, right? Okay, so the same thing is with Instagram. Instagram is a funnel. Facebook is a funnel. Your people up here, those are the people that you have the biggest capacity. If you have people at the top of the funnel, you want to always be plugging people into that funnel. Therefore, I call the top of the funnel the awareness funnel, the awareness piece of it. So this is where 80% of your content should go. This is what is really real. The reels are really awareness content. I'm going to give you some examples of some content here after these slides. I'll show you some of these examples, but 80% of your content should be awareness content. That means that you shouldn't be putting out a ton of pictures. You shouldn't be putting out a ton of long form video. It's short form, eye-catching stop video. And some rules with reels. The rule is that you have to post reels in 4 different types. There's 4 different types of reels. There is a lip sync reel or trending audio. I'll show you examples of all of these. There's a talking head. Okay, talking head is very specific. And honestly, now that I'm looking at this slide and teaching this, I think it should be a little bit further down. Further down, I think it's like the very last type of reel that you want to do. Very, very last. There's a lazy reel, which is my favorite. I love lazy reels. I love lazy. It's so much fun, and they get so much attention and so much engagement. And there's home tours. Okay, so that's the type of reels. That's the awareness content. Go back to this slide. The second layer of the funnel, and Instagram and Facebook or anything, any of your content really, is that interest piece. So the goal is where people are going to start liking you. The real is where they're going to start to get to know you, right? Know, like, trust, convert. Know, like, trust, convert. Okay. People, this is where they're getting to know you. They're getting to become aware of you. They're getting to know who you are, why you do what you do, and who and where you are, right? The interest post is where they're starting to get to like you. This is where they're starting to kind of like, this is where you're putting some carousels, some photos, and they're kind of looking through there. They're reading a little bit more about you, your story, what you've done for your clients. They're starting to learn a little bit more about you. This content on this piece of the funnel has to be really, really relevant, and it has to be relevant to your specific niche. It cannot be relevant to something that is not specific to you. The thing about Instagram, the thing about Facebook is that you have to be as niched down and as authentic as possible, which is why Kelly in the beginning told you that I have a system that is developed for busy professionals, so executive level busy professionals, to simplify the home selling and buying process. So all of my content is about systems and simplifying and processes and checklists and step by step by step. All of my process is about, all of my content is about education and letting people know it's not that hard. You just got to be educated. So you have to be as niched as possible. And the common question that I always get to this is, well, what if I have two niches? You can't. You can't. Especially if you're trying to go after organic content on social, you have to have one and you have to choose. And you have to say, okay, I'm not going to do 55 up and Gen Z. Okay. I actually had someone say the other day, I like Gen Z and 55 and up. I'm like, okay, well, those are two very different niches, incredibly different. Everything is different about those two niches, where they get their information, how they make decisions, who's making the decision, where the money's coming from, how much money they have. Everything is different. So you can't have two, you have to have one. And yes, you can be a 55 and up niche and be on Instagram. Because as we age and Instagram becomes more of a veteran platform, guess what's happening to all of the users? Okay. The average age on Instagram is actually really big. My following on Instagram is my ideal age. My ideal age is between 35 and 55. It's the elder, it's a geriatric millennial to that younger Gen X. Okay. That is because in general, decisions are made pretty similarly. They might be making decisions differently. You know, there are decisions for your parents at the age of 50, but for themselves at the age of 35. But that is my audience, and that is who I've attracted. That is who I want, and that is who follows me on Instagram. So it is possible to have whatever niche you want, and you can be on Instagram. You can also do it on Facebook. Okay. So the next piece, or the next layer down in the funnel, is what I call consideration. And this is really your stories. And we'll go a little bit more into this in a minute, but this is where people are actually getting to trust you. And they're trusting you. And I say trusting you in your stories because this is where you're going to tell more stories about yourself. This is where you're going to be personal. This is where I'm going to post my gym photos. I'm really into health and fitness. I'm really into health and fitness, and I have a dog and I love my dog, right? But that's where I want those people are going to find me in my stories. And the only way they're going to get into this layer of my funnel is if they started to know me. I'm putting content out that they like, and then they want to see a little bit more about me. Make sense? See how it's kind of working its way down? So your content really needs to be really focused here to grow and focused here to try to get the conversions, because what happens from here is then people are moving to that conversion cycle. Now, how you get them to conversion cycle is by putting out content that they become aware of, they know, like, and trust you, and you're giving them a reason to reach out to you. You can't just expect, if you're putting out content with no call to action and not telling people what to do, that they're just going to come into your DMs. But I'll tell you what, when they come into your DMs, all of a sudden you're like, so this is the content funnel. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on that?
Just a question on, Lene, if somebody, let's just say I come across you, I become your follower, do you have any stats or information on how long it really takes to cultivate somebody. I mean, it could obviously be personally where they are in their journey, right? But overall, any statistics that you're aware of that might show like how long it takes really to convert somebody?
So I have, we probably should have that stat, Milu. Let's write that down. Is something we should probably start tracking a little bit longer, that actual cycle. But what I can tell you is that I have had people come in today and be ready today. And I've kind of, they haven't talked to me before, right? They haven't talked to me before, but they've liked my post, or they're one of those silent stalkers on social. So I would say on average, you know, if you're putting out content consistently, I'm going to say it's probably going to be 6 months. 6 months. I mean, I got like my first deal within, it took me about 6 months, really.
Yeah, I would assume it is probably really hard to track just because.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you said. But what's great about it, or what I'm getting from what you're saying is by the time they get to that point, they feel like they know you. You've never met them, maybe face to face, obviously, whatever, but they feel like they really know you. So when you're together, now you can really focus on them because you don't have to sell yourself.
Exactly. And it's more or less like the conversations that I have now are so different. Cause I got to tell you, I've been through tons of coaching programs, and I've been taught how to have that commission conversation. I don't have commission conversations. It's not a matter of if I'm going to get paid full price. I'm going to get paid full price. It's going to be either full price or my next level up. And a great thing about going and using organic content is that, yeah, my production level is a little bit down this year, but my commission is way up. I'm up $100,000 in income this year on lower production. A, because I've raised my price point, and I'll show you how I do that on Instagram. And B, because I've actually raised my service standards. I've raised my service package. People already, by the time they're coming in, they're like, okay, well, you just tell me how much it's going to cost me. It's never a question of like, oh, can you beat this person's commission? Can you beat this person's commission? If the answer is no, I'm not going to. Go to that person if you want them, right? I don't care. So I think like that's really kind of the benefit of it. And the thing is, once they come into the conversation piece, they're usually ready. But to try to track from like that awareness all the way down that conversation, it's hard. I mean, what I can tell you is that in 2024, I'm now teaching my team to really build that organic business. I told them I'm pulling that lead gen spend back, and they're like, okay. And they're like, I'm excited about this. So they're going after it now. So one of my agents, you know, she was with me for 10 weeks. 10 weeks. She's only with me for 10 weeks. She's closed 3 deals. 2 of them are from social media. So I mean, there's something to be said about that too. So there you go. There's a stat for you. 2 of them from her sphere on social media. And I'm going to tell you, she's not a new agent. She's been in business. This is her 3rd year in the business. So she's gone the first 3 years of her career, closed 0 deals. And then now she's closed 3 in 10 weeks with me. So, and 2 of them are from social media. One of them is from my lead gen. So, okay. So let me log into Instagram, and I want to show you a little bit of the piece here. Sorry, I didn't share all of this. Sorry, I got really excited about that question. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So we're down the funnel now. Okay. We understand the type of content. Now this is the life cycle of content. So your content lives forever, right? I know people are always telling you content doesn't last. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It's all a matter about how systematized you are and how much you understand the content cycle. At this point in my career, in my content career, I'm not even writing my own captions anymore. I am occasionally, but before I was writing them all the time, every time. Like, and that's where the content burnout comes from, is you're posting and you have to write a caption, write a caption, write a caption. And it's like, oh my God, I can't keep up with the captions and the keywords and the hashtags and this and that, right? But at this point, Milu posts most of my content for me. She's like, okay, well, here's our caption that we're going to use. And when we choose the caption, and she posts it. So I don't really have to do that. Milu's in Argentina. Guys, I don't really have to, like, I'm not down that content rat race anymore, because my content recycles forever. And you can see this is the life cycle of content. So something that performs really well as a reel, you can repurpose that into a static post, or you can repurpose that into a carousel with the exact same caption. As you can see right here, content should be recycled and reused in a different format. Wait about 5 to 6 weeks between reuse. So you're going to be writing your own content for probably 90 days. It's really not that hard. It's really easy. And then after that, you can recycle your captions verbatim. Couple of things you might want to do when you're starting to recycle is just run it through keywords everywhere, run that caption through keywords everywhere, and let keywords everywhere tell you what's ranking, because you might want to change a few things around, because Instagram is an SEO friendly platform. But your content can live on forever. So if you're feeling any of that content burnout, I'm here to tell you, all you have to do is post consistently for 3 months. It's really easy. 12 weeks. If you follow the 12-week year, there you go. Put it on your plan. 12 weeks, and you will have content for the next 2, 3, 4 years. It's really easy.
And if you guys are struggling with content, I mean, there's so many, AI is out there. I mean, that'll help you plan some content if you're not super great at coming up with ideas and whatnot. There's so many sources out there to help.
Yeah, and I actually have a link to, Milu, can you go on the Stan store and get the link for the 51 content ideas? So I actually have a 51 content ideas that I'll share with you. And you can absolutely download that, take that, and there's 51 pieces of content there for you. Okay, so let me pull up my other, I pulled up a window and this disappeared. Okay, so moving on, because you are in real estate, I'm a firm believer that you should only be posting content. Now, when I say post content, this is content that you're posting to your page. Okay, your stories are a different story. You can put anything you want in your stories, anything you want. You can put pictures of yourself at the gym, cooking dinner, whatever it is, right? But when you're trying to build your audience and you're trying to engage your audience, if you're trying to convert, you want to only be posting content within these 5 pillars. Now, you don't have to do this forever. This is in the beginning. This is just so you can understand how to actually start gaining those people. You want to be posting content in what I call market report, storytelling, home tours, local guide, team, and behind the scenes. Market report is content related directly to the market. Seller tips, buyer tips, market stats, home prices, interest rates, etc. Like that's market tips, okay? You want to have a strong headline and you want to have a strong call to action on every single post. A call to action is, because you want to create a conversation. So call to action is comment below your thoughts or share your thoughts with me. Or send me a message. If you use really cool tools like ManyChat, you could do a keyword comment and get them right in your conversion. I teach all of that in my course. Storytelling content is where you're sharing personal stories. So this is where you're sharing something like a photo of yourself, or you're sharing a video of yourself. And this is where you're basically helping build more awareness around your brand, and you're really getting people to get to know you and also to get to like you. Personal content on social is imperative. Imperative. I know so many people who want to talk about, I don't want to put anything personal on social media. I don't want to get really vulnerable on social media. I posted a photo one day about me having body dysmorphia. Okay, if anyone can relate to body dysmorphia, it sucks because I'm a very fit person, and you look in the mirror and you think you're fat. And that's it's a mental thing. It's a total mental thing. It's because I bodybuild, right? So bodybuilders, you get really lean and then you don't get lean. Okay, it's weird. But I posted a photo about that. Do you know how many people relate to that? I posted a photo about filing bankruptcy at the age of 22. Do you know how many people relate to that? And do you know that my clients now, that's what we talk about when we're talking about, when I'm going to a listing appointment? Linnea, so when's the next competition you're doing? Oh my gosh, did you see this? Right? So I'm not even talking about listing. I'm telling them their price, I'm pricing on home, what we're going to do for them. But it's a conversation. It's no longer a let me try to fight for the listing. And when you can relate to people on a personal level, if you don't want to get that deep and that vulnerable, start with sharing a story about your dogs. Start with sharing a story about your kids, your grandkids, whatever it is, right? But share the stories, because the stories are what people connect to. Facts tell, okay? Market reports tell. Stories will sell. Stories will help you grab that audience and help you gain that audience, and it'll help you retain them, which is going to help you convert them. So you have to get personal on social media. You have to. The number one mistake I see people make, real estate agents, all of you, if I go look at your channels, if your page, I will tell you, you're making a mistake if you post just listed, just sold, or pending. Clients don't know what pending means. The general consumer has no idea what under contract, in escrow, pending means. They have no clue. It's a word that we use in the real estate industry to brag. But what you're really telling someone, you're not telling someone it's pending. What you're really telling someone is, hey, this client came to me 3 months ago and they were lost. They had no idea what to do because the interest rates are so high and they thought there was no way they were ever going to be able to buy a house. And instead, what we did is we educated them, we guided them, and we have a house that they're going to move forward on now. That's the story of the pending contract, right? When you sell a house, you're not saying, oh my God, look, we had 15 offers. This is one thing that bothered me during the whole boom that we just got out of. Real estate agents are posting 15 offers, 100,000 over list price. Cool. Every other person is doing the same thing right now because the market is dictating that, right? What you're really telling is, man, this was stressful. 15 offers is stressful. Helping my clients decide which offer to take, helping break down the pros and cons of each one to find the offer that best suited them. That's the story. So when you're going and thinking about your content on social, I want you to start thinking about it from that aspect. What's the message you're trying to convey? Not look at me, I'm a realtor, I have a real estate license, my job is to help people buy and sell homes. Yes, okay, cool, every single one of us can do the exact same thing. And that's where real estate becomes a commodity. That's where things like this NAR thing come in, right? Because we've made ourselves a commodity. So if you're telling the story behind what you're doing, it becomes a much more, you have much more capacity to convert and find the audience that you want to find. Shelly had a question. I can go off on that forever. I'm sorry, it took a little bit longer on that than I wanted to. You're muted, Shelly.
On the personal storytelling, is that like a post or are you doing that on stories itself? Because I feel like sometimes, you know, I don't mind getting personal, but I think that sometimes that breaks your, you know, aesthetic or, you know, what you're trying to convey as a professional, that sometimes maybe something personal doesn't come off that. So that's my struggle. It's not so much not being personal. It's, this is my brand. And so I'm trying to share enough, but you know,
so tell me a little bit about why you do what you do. Why'd you get into real estate?
I love helping people. I love teaching the process. I love, honestly, just that endless opportunity. I love working for myself. I'm a self-starter. And so I really enjoy, just working. I'm a people person, and I really enjoy working with, you know, other people. I love real estate. I love to walk in houses. That's one of my favorite things to do. That's how I got into it, to be honest with you, is just going into houses and seeing them. I mean, home tour videos are my favorite as well. So I like to just see other homes. So it's fun.
So tell me, like, why do you like to teach people? How does that make you feel?
I guess fulfilled, you know. I think that it's nice to be able to I don't know, I'm trying to put it into words. You're putting me on the spot. Yeah.
I mean, I could give you the answer, but I think you're going to get to the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I really, it's that process of them seeing, really, I think you said it. I think sometimes they make it is such a stressful process for them. It is such a hard process for them. They're doing something really, life-changing, selling someone, you know, their longtime family home or something. And so when you can break it down and make it step by step, they're worried about 20 steps ahead. And I always try to break it down and say, let's cross that bridge. Sometimes let's be aware of it, but let's cross that bridge, you know, before, you know, when we get to it, if we get to it. And I think breaking that process down to making it simple and effective and then learning, oh, they did it and it was exciting and we got to the finish line and it was a, you know, fulfilling process. They're happy and they're excited they got their goal. And I think that that's really fulfilling.
And have you ever had someone in your life do that for you? Break down a process and make it so simple that it almost was like, I can't believe I was overwhelmed by this in the first place.
Yeah, this whole process, joining this group has been like that. You know, I think that I felt like that it was, you know, being in real estate is such a sometimes singular process. So I think even something like you that's teaching me this and breaking this down, because social media as a whole, I think sometimes is overwhelming. So yes, I'm feeling that right now. You're doing that for me right now.
So that's personal. What you just said has nothing to do with anyone else. That is 100% how you feel. And so the reason why you like to teach and the reason why you like to break it down and the reason why you like to simplify it for everyone else is because it makes you feel good. And I think that's super, super relevant, right? There's a lot that you can learn. There's a lot that I just learned about you. I'm like, okay, if I were to refer a client to Shelly, Shelly would probably take time with that client. She's probably a really good listener. She probably has really good questions. She likely has read that book. She's likely read the book Go Givers, or she is a go giver, right? I just learned a lot about you and what you said and what you told me. Like, yeah, it was kind of sort of related to real estate, but it was nothing about real estate. It was all about you. And so, yes, I think telling personal stories is super relevant. I'll give you an example of what that looks like here in just a second. But yes, I think it's super relevant because what happens is when you're telling these relevant stories, when you're telling these personal stories about yourself, hey, I just learned a lot about you. Was I right? Are you a good listener? Do you ask a lot of questions? Do you take a lot of time?
I love the interpersonal relationships for sure.
Right. So I learned a lot about you. So I'm like, okay, well, next time I have someone looking in Houston, I got to think of Shelly because that's what I want for my client. Right. And so yeah, those personal stories are super relevant because of that. So I want to find for you real quick. I want to find some examples of this content for you. Let me pull them up here. Bear with me just a second.
I also think it goes back to what you said earlier, Linnea, too. If people know you and trust you and like you, they want to help you, right? They want to help you. They want to be around you. And if they don't know you and like you, other than just what you do in business, I mean, I think then they don't really know you, right? You have to show your personal side a little bit.
Yep, I agree. The thing is, what you're going to learn so much from people when you start sharing your personal story. So I want to find this. Oh, oops, hold on. I got logged out of Instagram. Oops, 1 second here, you guys. It's logging me out all the time. Weird lately. I'm not going to complain. There's a lot of scammers, and I'm always happy. I protect my social media. It's like super, super conscientious of it. Okay. So I want to find for you a very personal story, the one that I just referenced. Let me pull it up here. Find it. I'll just pull up the actual content for you, show you the photo, and then I'll read it to you. Okay, so this was one that I put on Instagram. I can't find the actual post right now. Maybe Milu can find it in the background. I don't want to waste time finding it. Here's the photo, okay? And then I want to read the content that came with it. So here's the photo, okay? The content that came with it. I used to think I was fat. Growing up, I excelled in sports and physical activities. In turn, I developed a lot of muscle at a young age. As a teenager, I was self-conscious. I used to believe I weighed too much. I coveted the thigh gap. I stressed over BMI and the scale. I was warned to be careful not to eat too much or I would grow up to be fat. At 15, I convinced myself I was 20 pounds overweight. The only way to lose weight was to eat less than 1,000 calories a day while also running cross country. How many of you can relate to something like this? Girls, ladies, we all did, right? So the thing is, that story, as it goes on, I love the rush of crossing the finish line. I struggled with being in love with sports. I love sports. I hated what was happening to my body as a young girl. But in sports, I was developing a lot of muscle, and today I've like totally gained confidence with that. But I quit. I quit doing what I loved because I wanted to be skinny. I quit it. Something I loved, something that brought me passion, something that brought me joy. Finding my way back. I had many iterations of finding my way back. So I'm telling this story of going from something that made me so happy to losing it, to finding my way back to it. Is that relatable to people? Does it make people who might struggle with insecurity, might struggle with body image, might struggle with how to find light? Like right now, it's really relatable to buyers or even sellers who are like, why would I want to sell my house at a 2.5% rate to buy at a 7% rate? It doesn't seem like there's any way out. Okay. My story is a story of overcoming what seemed like it was impossible. So yes, I'm a firm believer that personal stories are imperative in your business. Because what happens with these personal stories is those are the stories where people get to trust you. So you're taking them down to that third funnel, that third layer of the funnel. which is they're getting to trust you. That's where they're starting to show consideration in you. Okay. So yeah, you can share a lot of your personal life in your actual stories, but there's a lot of stuff you should actually put out there and let people read it and see it. So this actually, one that I just showed you is actually in an email drip campaign. And this is one of my most highly open email drips. It has a what is it, 52% open rate, and it's got a 30% response rate. People replying, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being a real person. Thank you so much for telling me more about you. Linnea, I struggle with this too. Let's talk. It's an email drip. So those personal stories, those are going to be what get people to like you. Okay, so I want to go back and look real quick at some of the other content that I just shared with you. I want to show you some awareness content. So awareness content, like I said, should be 80% of your content. So here, if we're looking at Instagram, let's show some sound so you can hear it. But if we're looking at Instagram, you can see, first of all, I told you I have 1,851 followers, not a lot, okay? But I convert a lot of business from it, okay? 1,851 followers, 1,577 posts. I post a lot. But awareness content is something like this. So this is really agent related. Let me give you something that's actually related to real estate business, something super, super relevant, super aware.
Hey, I'm sure you've heard that interest rates just hit a 23-year high. And you know what that's doing? It's pushing more buyers onto the sideline, and they're going to wait it out. Let me tell you something. The days of the 2 or 3% interest rates are never going to come again. Forget about that. But they will come down. And you want to stay in the market, and I'm going to tell you why. The minute they...
Okay, so this is awareness because it's telling people what I do, right? I help people with homes, okay? Telling people what I do. I love it because it's a super lazy reel. I didn't say a freaking word. Barbara Corcoran said it all for me. And then all of the education is here in the caption, as well as having a strong headline. Should I buy a house now or wait? People are asking that question a lot. And a call to action. Comment the word buyer, and we'll send you our getting started guide. So this is a really good example of awareness content. So you'll see, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a lot of my content. This is 80% of my content. Now, when we talk about taking them further down the funnel, we want to take them into that interest phase, right? We want them to become a little bit more interested in me. So that's where I'm going to go and I'm going to do something like this.
Should I sell my house now? That is a question I am asked all the time, likely because if you owned a home between 2020 and 2022, you probably refinanced your home to be somewhere between 2.5% to 4.5%. At least
super relevant, right? And now people are a little bit more interested because they actually want to see what I have to say. So yeah, I got someone aware of me by doing Barbara Corcoran, but now I'm talking. And now people want to hear what Linnea has to say. And this one, actually, this is an awesome example of conversion and how we're getting to be able to have that conversation. Andrew, I don't know who Andrew Stiver's photography is. Can you explain the theory behind a 20% increase in home values next summer? Yeah, here's where it comes from. Okay, I have a follow-up question. My question is housing affordability, which is also something I'm super passionate about. I do a lot of research on housing affordability, and I don't think we're ever going to have affordable housing here in Washington ever again, at least not in my area. But like people, like this is a common question. And the cool thing about something like this is the reason why this content works so well is because he's interested enough to ask me my opinion. He looks at me as an expert in the industry. He wants to know, what do you think? His comment is not a troll at all. He's genuinely curious. He genuinely wants to know. And Andrew now follows me on Facebook. I don't know if you can, I think he might have found me on Instagram first. And I mean, he's not a big influencer or anything. He's just a guy who just found me from my content, and now he's talking to me. So that's your interest content. Now, when we're talking about that consideration piece, right, we've got to take them down a little bit further. That's where we're going to go a lot into these static posts, something like this, something like this, something like this, something like this, to buy or not to buy. Right? This is the same caption I've used multiple times. I had a YouTube video out with this exact same script in it. Okay, didn't have to rewrite this. Mealy just did this herself. She's like, okay, we got to put this out. Cool. I didn't have to do anything. She just did it. Right? So this one, the reason where this becomes more of an interest post is this. You'll see, like this is mostly followers, and that's what we want. We want people on that higher level to find you. So the Barbara Buchhorn finds people, the talking head starts to get those people to talk to you a little bit. This is where you're getting your followers engaged with you. And this is pretty good engagement. I mean, it's got 3 saves, and that's what you want. The reason why you want, that's how you could gauge engagement, is are people saving your content? They like it enough that it's worthy of them saving into their feed for later and telling the algorithm, put more of this in my feed. So it's good. But then the true test of time is when you start to get people coming into your DMs, and it looks something like, if I can find it. Does it let me search on here? When you start to get people coming into your DMs, she's like down here a ways, but let's find Kaylee. You start to get people coming in like this, through stories, through content, right? You know, here's what she's telling me right here, okay? So Kaylee and I, she's now in my CRM. We're now talking through drip campaigns, but look, my mom moved in with me a couple of months ago. She's 87 and it was time to have her closer instead of in Portland. So we're purging and organizing a lot. Some days I feel the progress, others not so much. What is she telling me right now? She had a major life change. Does she even realize what she's doing? No. No clue at all. Because she voted on a poll in my story. I said, how are you? Look at that easy. That is not chasing. It's like, hey, I'm genuine. Thanks for voting on my poll. How's it going? Someone in my sphere, I worked with them in corporate America, haven't talked to her in years, and I don't have to spend any money. I'm doing well, busy working in merging 2 households. My mom moved in, right? And she commented on my post again. If you're curious, I created a system to help guarantee the highest sales price in selling a home. She asked, we had one of our polls on our stories went out and asked a question about selling a house. And she said, the most important thing to me is getting the highest sales price. It's like, cool, here you go. She looked at it. You know how I looked at it? No, because you go to thedreammethod.com. If you type that in, go to it, you'll watch a webinar. I have a whole video that I recorded on the Dream Method. It puts her right into my CRM. So I know she watched it. So do you think Kaylee's going to convert? Likely. And you know, the cool thing about it is that I don't have to remember to call her every Monday. I don't have to remember to call her once a month. Like, oh, cool, I'm just going to put my content out because she's going to engage. She's already told Meta that she likes me. So Meta's going to reward me. Meta's going to reward that and say, okay, Kaylee, we know you like Linnea because you clicked on her links, you've talked to her in chat, you've liked her posts, you've commented. We know you like her, so we're going to show you all of her content. So it's really cool because now Meta is like, no more money, Linnea. We do it all for you. Okay, that is pretty much the content cycle. Any questions?
I do like the fact that you said Meta can almost be like another little assistant for you, right? Once you're doing consistent content and varying the content, yeah, the background system of it all really helps just drive what you're doing to the people that engage.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so not engaged in social media at all. I'm trying my best with it, but I tend to find myself being extremely overwhelmed with it. What would be the best like initial infant stage of starting this and getting outside your comfort zone and allowing yourself to give this a whirl? Because yeah, I don't want to, jump in and start doing long division if, I'm still trying to figure out how to add and subtract.
Fair. My best way, the best way I would start would be to just put out a bunch of lazy content. And this is lazy content.
Okay.
Lazy content is something like this.
Nor means I did that shit by myself. I'm closing all doors behind.
Okay, lazy content. Lazy content is something like this.
Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
Okay.
I didn't do anything. It literally took me 2 seconds to record that, or whatever, 5 seconds of the video. So I would put out, just put out a bunch of content like that. If that's where you want to start, just put out a bunch of content like that and make sure you really use the caption space to educate people.
Okay, caption space. Okay. Thank you very much.
And choose one platform. Don't try to go all out on all platforms. Just choose
one. We'll
do
baby steps.
Just choose one. Choose one.
Cool.
I think someone at my EXP rally, he was really good. The guy that said you have to do 16 open houses a month. Yeah. He also said, made a really good point. He's like, The agents that have super focus are the ones who will make it. But it's when he did this really good analogy. He's like, okay, I want you to put your hand in, I want you to be chopping a wood, right? Pretend like you're chopping a tree. And we did it. And he's like, okay, so chop, 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 squirrel. So his whole thing was like focus on the one thing. And so for me, we're doubling down on organic content. I told you, I'm telling my agents that we're cutting back on lead gen. I don't want to spend any more money on leads for them because it's not teaching them anything. I want to teach them. I want them to go and start their own teams and like have massive businesses on their own. Like I don't want to be a team leader forever. I just want to do it long enough to teach other agents, to really dive in and teach other agents how to have a super successful business. So
Julia's got her hand raised. So Julia.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Good. Hey, I just wanted to reiterate. So, you know, I used to be in the corporate world like you and do marketing and all of that stuff. And I used to own past businesses. And I will say that used to, which is why I'm here today, used to do a lot of social media, especially on Facebook. And I used to call it when the bus pulled up, because like it was a storefront business, but I would advertise and advertise and advertise. The phone would ring and ring and ring. And then what would happen is I would get so busy working that I quit advertising. And then what would happen is it would take me about a month after all my appointments ran out. And I was like, the phone's not ringing. And it took me a while to like this correlation together. So I would start advertising. And it'd take about 2 weeks and the phone would start ringing. And it was this cycle. So then I got into real estate and I put all of that into real estate, which is why I said it earlier, a lot of my business does come from Facebook. Mm-hmm. I'm now in that rut where I have not been on Facebook. I have not been on social media for about a year, which is why I am here. I want to take your class, Linnea, because I've gotten out of it so much and I was never an Instagram person. I don't know about the reels and all of that. So it's kind of like I knew what to do with Facebook, but I'm not doing it. And I think there's more to it now that I don't know. Mm-hmm. So with all that being said, can you go a little bit more into your class? Like what days is the class? What platform is the class? You know, what hour is it? Kind of the things that you go, I guess, into depth with. You know, do you kind of give like homework? Do you give exact things to kind of, you know, post? Could you go into a little bit more of that?
Yep. So it's Thursday mornings. It's a 4-week workshop. So the next one starts tomorrow. The one after that starts January 4th. It's every Thursday morning except for Thanksgiving from 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time. And during that time, so it's basically formatted around the content funnel. So the first week we're focusing all on awareness. I'm diving deep on how to create awareness content, how much content to create. I give you access to my content warehouse, which is a giant spreadsheet of 52 pieces of content that's already created with exact instructions on how to recreate it for yourself. I give you my trending audio rules and my rules about reels. Each week you have homework. Every homework is basically assigned to help you master the skill that we're learning that week. So it's all like week 1 is all about awareness. Week 2 is all about interest. Like what should you be posting to get people's interest? Okay. Then we're going to throw in my systems. I'm all about systems and leverage. I actually don't, like I said, I don't like to work that much. I like to automate as much as possible. So I throw all of that in, how to actually repurpose those to other platforms so you can stay present on other platforms without having to get overwhelmed. Third week, we talk about that consideration. We go really deep into engagement, how to create engagement, how to drive engagement. And then the fourth week, we talk all about actually converting. So getting people from your DMs into your CRM, exactly how to do it consistently. So we go deep into all of them, and every week you have homework.
So you actually go into then how to follow up, like using maybe some of the other, you know, drip campaigns or whatever that, because that's another thing I lack. You know, when I do it, it's a little overwhelmed with doing it that don't follow up. I mean, I know I'm kicking myself, but I lose so many leads because I don't follow up.
Yeah. So I go into the basics of it, right? But I'm building out a huge course that's all about the full gambit of that entire funnel. But yes, this one will go into the basics of how to get those, how to analyze your KPIs so you understand which content should work. I will also tell you some of your content you can put a little money behind and retarget that content, but I have a strategy for that. And so we talk a little bit about that. But this is really like understanding that content funnel and how to get consistent on content. Because in order for you to convert, you also have to grow, and it's possible to do both at the same time.
And we've put the link to Linnea's class in the chat. So if you guys want to look at that a little bit further, it's there. I think it's there a couple times. And Pam, you have your hand up?
I'm sorry, we're over time.
Okay, I'm unmuted, right?
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions. You chose Instagram versus Facebook to do 70%, it sounds like, of your content. If we tend to, I'm in Scottsdale, and so a lot of my people are retirees or older. I tend to watch Instagram stuff more, but I'm wondering if they tend to go with Facebook more. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I think Facebook is a better platform for the older people. Sorry, the older generations. Sorry, there's a better way to say that, more tactful, but it is what it is. But yeah, there is. So part of what I teach is how to use the same content that I'm teaching on Instagram on Facebook, because you have to remember, I actually built my business on Facebook, so I'm very prevalent on Facebook. I have a huge presence, and that will never go away. But because I mastered Facebook, so now I've moved on to Instagram. So.
Two more quick questions.
Yeah.
When you had, it was Barbara, right? The gal from Shark Tank?
Yeah.
On there?
Yeah.
Do you have to like tag her or do something to use her when you post something like that?
No, it's a feature on Instagram. It's called Remix, where you can just actually remix her and it'll show her in the background, and you just pull yourself up on camera.
And do you teach that type of stuff in your course as well?
We have a bonus class that I don't really advertise, but it's always there. A bonus class. It's like Reels 101. So we can teach you how to do all that stuff.
Do you have openings for your class starting tomorrow still? Is it like?
We do. Yeah, we have 4 openings.
Kelly?
I know. I know. I'm like,
I am. So, okay.
What I can tell you is, I ran it as a beta group. And there's been so much success. It's been really, really, really cool. Because it's one of those things you start teaching. It's like, hey, is it going to work? And it actually is working. One of the people that just came through, she actually got a buyer from her content. She got a buyer from Instagram. She got a builder that actually started noticing her content. And this builder is one that doesn't actually offer a lot of partnerships with real estate agents. They want to do everything their own. And they actually offered her an exclusive partnership from her content on Instagram. So, and that was in 30 days. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And we all need your energy. That's for sure.
Well, this is my prime hours. You guys, it's 8 o'clock in the morning for me. I'm like awake. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like my husband, he's probably just waking up. And by the time he gets up, I'm gonna be like, yeah. And he's going to be like, I need a little bit more time. But yeah, no, I'm high energy.
And you said it was from, I'm sorry, your Pacific time, 8 to 9 Pacific.
Yeah.
Time. So
yeah. So it's 10 to 11 East, your time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then each week is recorded. We have an exclusive Facebook group that's just for that call, or just for the course. So it's pretty active community. And the recordings are available for up to a week after the course ends. So this one, I think, ends second week of December. I gotta look at the date. It ends December 14th, I think, December 14th. So the course replays will be available to the 21st of December. And so you can watch it there. And then I do have an opportunity for continuation of content after that.
Yeah. And this is a great time of year too, you guys. Naturally we just slow down through the holidays. So this is a great time to, probably jump on it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I look at. It's like, it's a really good time because you're going to be spending the next 30 days. If you join, you're going to be spending 30 days putting out content, and you're going to start to see that really pay off for that spring season. So it's actually a really good time.
Awesome. Just to be mindful of everybody's time, we're a little over, so that's awesome. Thank you. But any last minute questions before we tap out here?
This was awesome. Thanks a bunch, guys. Thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, Linnea, you're amazing. And I just was so excited for today. Thank you for delivering. I knew you would. And certainly if anybody has any questions, reach out. We can get it to Linnea. You can join her class for just getting more dialed into this, but great day, great class. Thanks so much for everybody being here.
Thank you,
And
guys.
Thank you
we'll
too.
post this in Empire Mastermind again if you want to rewatch it and you know, if you didn't get all your notes taken right away. So thanks, Linnea. So appreciate
Bye,
it.
you guys. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.